Today we'll look at the book summary of Decide, Work Smarter, Reduce Your Stress, and Lead by Example by Steve McClatchy. It's one of the most interesting books I've read this year. It's not interesting in the sense that it's a highly philosophical book, but it's really useful, it's really practical, and I feel that it definitely points something which is not really obvious in terms of how we manage our priorities and time. So it's definitely recommended. So the first main idea in the book is that there are two kinds of tasks. First category of tasks are gain tasks, and these are usually associated with some goals we're trying to achieve, and they produce much more significant results, and we never have to do them, so they're not urgent. Example of this could be, say, if we want to write a book, then writing certain number of pages every day will be a gain task. We know that if we do it every day, then it will lead to much better results for us. But there is no urgency to finish the task. So unless until you have your own schedule or discipline to do them, it's difficult to get them done. Second category of tasks are prevent pain tasks. So I think of these as more maintenance kind of tasks. And the maintenance could be doing things every day, every week, every month, every so often, which are required to have the life running efficiently. So, as an example, it could be drawing, doing the laundry, throwing garbage, etc. And essentially, what these tasks try to do is they just prompt us what we have to do, um, and that's why in some ways we tend to do them more often because there is a sense of urgency. um, Say if your garbage gets picked up every Wednesday morning, then you have to put it out by a certain time. So you could do it on the day before. You could even do, say, half an hour before the garbage truck arrives. So of course, that will be very inconvenient. And second thing is they don't go away; they just repeat. So we have to do laundry every week. We have to throw garbage every week. We have to attend meetings every week in our offices. And so doing these, they are essential, but doing these leads to ordinary results. So the question is, why should we focus on gain tasks? And the simple answer is that if you want to improve in any area, if you want to become better in life, business, or any area you're interested in improving, then you have to do something every day, every single day. And that's why focusing on gain tasks is very important. And in terms of the motivation for gain tasks, it comes from a desire to have an improvement in some area of your life. So, for example, if you're trying to lose weight and the gain task will be um, focused on activities you may or may not do. So, things like exercising you will do, but say, things like mindless eating or eating junk foods is something which you won't do. So there is a desire to improve things, and that's where the motivation for gain tasks come. And you obviously want to improve some areas of your life. And one more fundamental attributes of gain tasks is that you cannot delegate them to somebody else. You can ask somebody else to clean your house, do your laundry, or even find someone who'll put bins on the street of your garbage. But if you want to improve in some area of your life, then you can't delegate them. So only you have to put in the results, put in the effort to have the results. A slight qualification here though. So obviously only you can work on them, but then you can take help from people. So say if you want to improve your health, then you can have a personal trainer who can help you achieve your goals. And typically avoiding pain tasks can be delegated. So we looked at the examples of household activities which can be delegated to other people. Same kind of thing in offices as well. So if there are meetings and you're not really interested, then at times you can send somebody else. So what is the difference between management versus leadership? So before we talk about the differences, one fundamental point is that it's not that management is not important, because obviously to run anything efficiently you do need good management. So essentially management is focused on preventing pain tasks. So running things efficiently, there are certain ways of doing things, making sure that they get done, etc. In terms of leadership, the focus is trying to do things differently if it's required, doing better things, trying to improve the situation. So, in leadership, the focus is trying to improve. And if you're interested in improving any area of your life, then the first step will be to do a brainstorm of gain tasks you can do. So here I've put different categories, what I could think of when I was thinking of areas where I could potentially improve. Um, and again, this may be different for different people. So somebody could be more spiritual, religious, and perhaps there are gain tasks for the person in that area. And sometimes the impression people get is that we want to do gain tasks because we want more money or we want bigger, better things. And that's not really the correct way of looking at it, because we want to have a certain direction, certain movement in life, and that's what we achieve by gain tasks. And in some ways, it tries to address this crisis of balance. So at times we can feel bogged down in our lives, in our jobs, because we are doing a lot of maintenance or prevent pain tasks, and we're not doing enough of gain tasks, so it doesn't feel like we are going anywhere in life. And that's why it's very, very essential to have some gain tasks every so often, so if possible every day. And it's a good way to combat burnout and stress. So if you do something which is taking you towards your goal, then it makes you feel alive. And in terms of tasks categories, so one way to look at them is thinking about, so it's like a mind experiment or thought experiment. So consider yourself to be a person who's really old and you're looking back on your life, potentially even on your deathbed. And so when you look at category A tasks, you are glad that you did them. And B and C categories of tasks are prevent pain tasks. The difference between B compared with C will be B is something which you recorded, so you kind of plan for it, you know it's coming, and C will be something which comes up kind of randomly, or you're not consciously aware of it. And one more different way of looking at different task categories is that with A, you are improving towards your goal, you are taking leadership in some area of your life. With category B tasks, you are doing the maintenance aspect of your life in a better way. And C will be normal maintenance task. So the key question here is, what is the result each task produces? So if it's leading to improvement towards your goals, it's a category A task. If it leads to efficient maintenance, it will be a category B task. And sometimes when you just get random maintenance, you can put them as category C tasks. And thinking about how our brain works, so obviously modern life is much different compared to the environment in which our brain evolved. And our brain is hardwired to prioritize survival. So the fundamental attribute of our brain is that it wants you to live. So improvement comes later if you can stay alive, and that's why you'll see that in many of our conundrums, it's the fact that our brain wants us to behave in a certain way, whereas we consciously are trying to do something else. And obviously something which has evolved over a period of time wins, and then we apply different strategies to get around it. In terms of gain tasks, so again there are two broad categories of gain task types: creation gain tasks and consumption gain tasks. So with creation gain tasks, you're creating something new. So example could be, you're writing a book, so that will be a creation gain task. And consumption will be, you are reading different other reference material, books, papers, watching videos, listening to podcasts to get some different and interesting ideas. So we definitely need to focus on gain tasks, and one easy way to do that is by having a written priority list, so which allows us to prioritize gain tasks, and then it gives us the focus to do them every day. And because you are constantly going towards your goals, they bring meaning for you in the long term. And as we discussed before, it's not really about money, it's about growth, development, and evolution. And again, thinking of Mr. Brain, So it works in it works based out of two main emotions. So first is fear, so the pain of not doing something, and that can be a really big motivation. So typically if you have something to be done by tomorrow, it's an office report, then you will focus really hard. You might even stay up late or stay up all night to finish it. And improvements come through growth tasks. So there's a desire in you that you want to improve. And that's why it's fundamental that you do your important projects first, and then you get some energy, some satisfaction of completing the important things, and use that energy to get through your category C task. Thinking about procrastination, so it's not a decision making problem. Sorry, it is a decision making problem, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to decide in a given moment what needs to be done. So you have time and you want to allocate time, but then because it's very taxing for your brain to decide between 10 potential things you can do in a given moment, so it's fundamentally a decision making problem. So the key idea is that take time to plan every day and make sure that you keep the plan. If you can work with the plan, great. Otherwise, keep trying. It's a skill. Planning is a skill, and it can only improve with time. So there will be a point in time in your life when you start, and then you just have to stick with it. Looking at the work we do based on three different ways. So firstly, there are habits, and fundamentally habits are very important because we do many things automatically. We just have a habit of doing things in a certain way, and we just do them. So there's not much mental effort involved. We just keep on doing them. Second is through to-do lists. So we can have a list of 5 things we want to finish on a given day. And then third is through calendar. So what I see is that doing through things through habits is easiest, and one technique we can use to improve our focus on gain task is by putting them in calendar, because if we have well in advance block time for an activity, then most likely it will get done, instead of just putting in the to-do list. And the to-do lists are great, but then the issue with to-do lists is that there is no time slot for them allocated, right? So you may or may not get to it. So that's why if something is important, then the fundamental requirement is that it should be on calendar. And this is something which somebody like me, who has been trying to do things via the to-do list, feels that it's a very big tool, because you can plan your day, say, with 5 minutes of effort, and then you are trying to make sure that the important things are getting done every day. So why do we fail? And here I'm again talking based on personal experience of creating goals and not being able to achieve all of them. So the fundamental issue is that when we just write down a goal, but we don't create the task, or we're not allocating time for the task, then essentially we're not committed to defending the time to work on the goals. It's like asking somebody to do something without giving them the resources. So if it's in calendar, then we don't have to make a much bigger effort, which requires a lot of discipline. So to-do list can be used to finish prevent pain tasks, and calendar can be used to complete gain tasks. So for a goal, it's important to write all the tasks and put them on calendar. So in terms of tips, some things which can help. So accountability is important. So it can be done with a friend, with somebody you know, your partner, mentor. And sometimes knowing what you don't want to do can be as or even more valuable. In fact, there is a book called Essentialism, and there the author's main point is that instead of trying to do thousand things, if we just focus on really important things, we can have a much better outcome. So again, plan for a few minutes every day, month, and week. So try to figure out what you need to get done in a month, in a week, or a day. And on a given day, jot down your category A, B, C tasks. And even if you can't stick to the plan 100%, that's okay. At least it will be it will be useful because it will give you a framework in which you make decisions. So you are able to compare your um, planned goal task with something else which has come urgently. So even if you are doing the more urgent task, at least you have made a deliberate decision to do the more urgent task. And once you have made the decision, the thought of doing the more important task will be there in your mind, and then it helps to keep the productivity on track. So the key idea is get organized with planning, because decisions are hard for brain. So um, in terms of the way we work, there were habits, there were to-do lists, there were calendar. So I think what I'm seeing more and more is that the focus is to move the decision making in advance. So through habits, things are getting done, so there's no effort required. Through calendar, things are getting done, so there is not much mental effort required. And of course, like there are some tasks which are going to be on the to-do list and they have to be done. So hopefully you enjoyed the summary of this book, and it's definitely a book which I've enjoyed as well as found very useful practically. So give it a read, because there are some ideas which will come through only when you read it yourself.